This might hurt.
Accepting and letting go of your past is one of the central themes in Cowboy Bebop. These characters and this world have already been changed, destroyed, rebuilt, and reestablished. So rather than being a story about characters discovering who they are, this is a story of people remembering why they are. These two characters, Jet and Spike, they each have different circumstances that led them to where they are now, but the one that we're going to talk about tonight is Jet. Jet is the level-headed, goal-oriented pilot of the Bebop. With a name like Jet Black, you gotta stand on business, you gotta be a serious dude. And that's how he is most of the time. But every man has a weakness that, if given the slightest poke, will send his mind into a frenzy. What would you do if the person you loved more than anyone in the world decided to leave without a word and never came back? Would you search for them? Would you wait? What would you say if you ever saw them again? The 10th episode of Cowboy Bebop, titled Ganymede Elegy, beautifully illustrates the confusion and pain of letting go of someone you love.
Everybody's staying the same, ain't no changing. Everybody's shifting the blame, got no saying. Just get out of my way, just get out of my way.
So you're probably wondering, why am I talking about this episode specifically? Honestly, it's just very interesting to me. So many pieces, so many different parts of this just hit all at once, and it comes together to form this beautiful story. And it's like in 20 minutes it can just make you feel so many different emotions, especially if you see yourself in either one of these characters, trying so hard to keep something but watching it slip through your fingers, and on the opposite side, trying to be yourself in a situation but the world around you or your lifestyle doesn't allow that to happen. So it's not just a simple clear cut like, oh, this dude is crazy or this girl is crazy. There's so much depth in this episode, and let me just talk about it. Let me just tell y'all what happened in case you don't know. Let's get into it. To make a long story short, Jet's mission gives him a chance to see his ex-girlfriend named Elisa. Now this woman, he's been holding on to her memory in the form of this broken pocket watch for the longest. Like ever since she left randomly one day, he's been holding on to this watch and just kind of in the back of his mind wanting to see her again, even though he had already moved on. You know, he hadn't spoken to her or even seen her in many years. He still had that hope. So now that he was granted the opportunity, he jumped on it. Elisa owns a bar, and Jet walks in and she immediately is like, yo, it's crazy seeing you here. And she says that, you know, Jet is her last customer because she's closing up shop. Her bar doesn't get that much business anymore, and she's thinking about moving to a different town with her boyfriend. Now, this boyfriend, we're gonna get to this new boyfriend, all right? Because Jet, we know Jet, he's like a very structured, orderly man. You know, he used to be a cop, but this dude, we're gonna get to him later. So they get into a little conversation. Elisa's telling him about how it is owning a bar, and it's pretty tough, and Jet is like, are you sure you're not in over your head or something? I know it must be hard to figure all these things out with the bankers and the mortgages and all this stuff. And she just laughs. She's just like, of course you're worrying about me, but you know, we're gonna figure it out. We being her and her new boyfriend. During this conversation, we kind of get a sense of what their relationship was like when they were together. It seemed like Jet was this guy who liked things a very specific way, and it seemed like Elisa was more ambitious. She had higher goals. She saw herself doing more than just sitting in the house all day or like being a housewife and stuff like that. And Jet, he was like, go with the flow, like, hey, I'm going to work, I'm doing my thing. And we see this by Jet saying that back when they were together, she was always there when he got home, and that was all he needed, just her. So the day that she left, He waited for her to return, and if she didn't, by the time the watch stopped, he would leave and go explore the world. Even though they ended up splitting because Elisa wanted freedom and Jet wanted to keep this same structure, by Elisa leaving, just up and leaving, like she didn't tell him that she was gonna go or anything. She's just like, I'm out. She just left a note with one word, farewell. And this drove Jet insane. It forced him to change, because what else could he do? His whole structure, his whole life basically was flipped upside down. So Elisa up and left, and Jet's like, what am I supposed to do now? I'm just here. I got nothing. I got nobody. Yeah, I'm a cop. I'm doing my thing. I'm helping people. But my life at home, there's no excitement. There's nothing to look forward to after I'm done with work. So she kind of showed him that, like, yo, you can't really put the responsibility of your happiness on her, because she wants to do her own thing. Elisa basically is like, yo, I don't even remember that day. I already moved past all of that. You know, I'm in this new relationship now. We doing our thing. We figuring it out. And time never stands still. That's basically what she says to him. She's like, you move forward in life. Yeah, what they had, what Jet and Elisa had was great, but now she's with this new dude and they're happily living together. They're figuring things out.
Wasting my time, wasting my time. I need you out of my life.
Let me tell you a little bit about Rent. So Rent is a criminal, technically. After Jet and Elisa split up, Elisa went to go start her own business, do her own thing. And she got into it with some loan sharks. And yeah, you know how that goes. And Rent was there and he saved her. He has a bounty on his head. But I would say that he's a pretty stand-up guy. He's a decent dude. You know, he's just trying to figure out things with his girl. And they doing their thing. They're on their Bonnie and Clyde. You feel me? At this point, it's a game of chess between Rent and Jet, because Jet has no idea that Rent has a bounty on his head, and Rent still doesn't know that Jet is a bounty hunter. When we see Rent out there tweaking, trying to light his cigarette, he's thinking back on everything that he did that day that he saved Elisa, and he's thinking that his time is coming, that there's a bounty hunter coming for him. And Jet just sees him and he's like, this dude tripping. And you know what's funny? Jet smokes cigarettes. He's a heavy smoker. So the fact that he doesn't offer this dude a light or anything, I just think that's very interesting. Like, that's kind of petty. So Jet just kind of walks past him, and Spike is on the ship, and he's the one who actually finds out that Rent has a bounty, and he ends up going after him. But we're gonna get back to that in a second. But first, I want to talk about another scene that happens in the middle of this episode, and it involves Faye. Faye is one of those characters that whatever she thinks, she's gonna let you know, but she's gonna let you know in the sassiest way possible. So in the beginning of the episode, when Jet actually finds out about this mission to go see his ex-girlfriend Elisa, she comments on it.
Man, they are such hopeless romantics.
There's something that happens between Faye and Ed. It's just so ironic and it's so poetic. Faye's out there, she's tanning, she's doing her thing. And Ed, you know Ed, she's asking questions. She's a kid, so she's just gonna ask a bunch of questions just to figure out what's going on. So she's like, why are you putting that stuff on your skin? And Faye's like,
Beautiful skin can only be maintained by tireless efforts, which are ultimately totally futile.
and that sentence right there, I think, perfectly summarizes how a lot of people view love. It's this tireless effort that is ultimately useless. Men are supposed to take care of women. Women are supposed to take care of themselves and look beautiful. And that's the right way to do things. At the end of the day, we all know that it's this tireless effort. So we're just doing it just because, like, love is just this, it's just a chemical reaction. It's not something real anymore. It's just a thing that we do. We're humans, we're supposed to reproduce. So And it especially relates to Jet and Elisa's relationship, because Jet, his masculinity it's fragile, to be honest. He does on the outside look like a man, and everything that he presents, everything that he does, all the actions that he takes, it looks like the actions of a man. But on the inside, we can see that he's hurting. He's still hurt. He's still holding on to his past. And when someone slights him, we see him like he really takes it to heart. And that's okay. The fact that he believes that he has to be this strong man, that he has to always be the guy. I gotta know what's going on. I gotta know how to fix this. Oh, my girlfriend left me. I gotta know like what to do. I'm just gonna wait for her because I know she's gonna come back. And then she doesn't. So now what do? Now you have to live life one day at a time. You gotta figure things out. You gotta start from square one, because the world that you believed existed was all in your head. And then on the opposite side with Elisa, she chose to hide her true feelings with Jet, not tell him that, yo, this ain't working for me. You know, I want to do my own thing. I want to start a business. I want to go out and explore the world. And instead, she just left without a word. She left a little watch and she left a note. After maybe, I don't know how long they were together, but probably years of being together. She just leaves. So both of them were wrong in the way that they handled things. So it's not a question of who's to blame. It's a question of, why do they think this way in the first place? Why do they believe that this is the way you should be in a relationship? Those are the questions that Faye's comment actually brings up. Why do we just play this game and pretend that we love each other when really we want to be doing something completely different? Why can't we just be honest with each other, be honest with ourselves? Don't lie to yourself just to be with somebody, just to not be alone. So now let's wrap up this story with Jet and Elisa. Elisa's on the run, Rin's on the run. Jet is a bounty hunter, Rin has a bounty. There's too many connections there. So Jet is just like, you know what, Spike, I got this. I'ma handle this. I'm the black dog. I sink my teeth into something I never let go. He hunts them down and they end up crashing into these rocks. He's just walking up to him, and Elisa, she grabs a gun and she shoots at Jet, and she finally tells him how she felt when they were together. Jet always called the shots. She felt like a child. She wasn't allowed to live her life. She wasn't allowed to make her mistakes. She wasn't allowed to be herself. Jet never knew that. From his point of view, she was there one day and she was gone the next. But from her point of view, every single day with him was a struggle against herself. So that honesty, that final moment, was what it took for Jet to finally realize, like, you know what? It's okay for me to let go of this now. I was holding on to this thing for so long. I didn't even know what I was holding on to. I didn't know how she felt. But now I do. So not only did he let her go mentally, he also let her go physically. But Rin, that dude, yeah, he's cooked. He went to jail because, you know, he killed people. And Jet says his final farewell to Elisa, tossing her pocket watch into this river. And there we have it. That's how it ends. So now I want to get a little bit more meta with this. This situation between Jet and Elisa, as exaggerated as it is, it's real. You have one side of the relationship that wants things to stay the way that they are. You know, they're comfortable. They want this consistent situation. And then you have the other side who wants something more. They want something more, not just for themselves, but for the relationship. And as their paths in life separate, their visions divide. So their relationship splits apart because they're not seeing the same thing. They're not seeing eye to eye anymore. I feel like more than cheating or something crazy happening, this is a huge relationship ender. I would say be yourself unapologetically. Show your vision for the relationship, for the future, as early and as much as possible. Now, if you're in a relationship right now and you haven't been doing that, start doing it now. Maybe the dynamic will start to change and you guys will start to see a positive change in your relationship. Now, if there starts to be a negative change in your relationship, that's not necessarily a bad thing. The most interesting thing about romantic relationship and stuff like that is that sometimes you guys just don't really work out, and there's nothing you can do about that. And I know that that sucks. There's a kind of beauty in that, in it not working out, because even if the relationship ended, as long as it brings you closer to that person that you want to become, as long as it shows you who you truly are, can you really say that it was a failure? Because I think that the essence of life itself is to fully embody love, true love. And that doesn't mean just be in a romantic relationship and indulge in all of these pleasures. It means to show yourself and the world, whoever you're involved with, that someone cares for them. People say things like love yourself or you don't need love from somebody else. But if we're being honest, you want someone who you can share that person that you are, that person that you truly are inside, right? Like that's pretty cool. It's cool to have somebody there for you. But at the same time, what's not cool is trying so hard to keep that situation the way that it is at the expense of the other person. As much as you want, the feelings that that person gives you, you can't keep them from being themselves. Even if they convince themselves that they're doing it for you and, they're rejecting their true desires and their true purpose in life to be with you, eventually that resentment is going to start to build, and then you're going to have a situation like this where they just leave without a word. And that hurts more than anything, for someone to just leave with no explanation because they feel like they don't want to hurt you. They don't want to tell you how they feel. Like, hey, this isn't working. I have these things that I want to do in life and I feel like we're just stuck. So I'm going to pose these questions to you, and I'm not going to answer them. I want you to ask them to yourself and look for that answer in yourself. So if you're in a relationship currently, or if you've been in a relationship in the past and you had a similar situation to this, or if you've never been in a relationship and you just, I don't know, but these are the questions that I have for you. What does effort look like in a relationship? How do you know if you're doing too much for the wrong person? How do you get rid of the fear that someone is just gonna up and leave? How do you move on if that person did end up randomly just leaving? Is it okay for you guys to fight and have conflicts often in your relationship? Is it okay for you guys to never fight and figure out your problems on your own? Whatever feelings come up when you ask yourself these questions, allow them to reveal themselves and don't judge them. Your emotions are like a traffic light. Keep going, slow down, stop. Listen to them. I want to thank my Patreon members. Hold on, I gotta pull them up on my phone real quick. I'm so unprepared. We got Jonathan, Gwen, Biamon. Thank you guys so much for subscribing to the Patreon. I can't thank you guys enough. Yeah, join the Discord, guys. Join it. I'll start yapping in there as well. So if you guys like hearing me talk, join that. We're gonna do some fun stuff in there. Also join the Patreon if you feel so inclined to do so. If you got this far into this video, you are literally insane, let's do a satellite. Drop a satellite in the comments if you made it all the way to the end of this video. What's my outro? I forgot. I haven't done this in so long. Oh, subscribe subscribe if you want to hear me talk about your next favorite anime. And with that, I'm out of here.